Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football, and welcome back to the Winning Drive. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers, pleased to be joined by fellow lifetime Longhorn young prodigy C.J. Vogel, and of course our own coach, former high school football coach at Vernon, Capel, Brownwood, Belton, Rotan. Also played college football at Abilene Christian, coached there as well, and was on the staff at the University of Texas for multiple head football coaching. Boom. That's where you can catch his work these days. You see that right there? Boom. At ShipleyRanches.com. Coach Bob Shipley joining us. What's going on, Coach? How you doing?
Oh, man, we got 3 inches of rain yesterday, 3.5 inches out at the farm in Rotan, along with some baseball-sized hail. All of our hay is laying down flat, kind of like A&M did against us this last year.
Boom! And got an Aggie joke.
I shouldn't have said that.
Nah, that's good. No,
I mean, you know. But yeah, our hay grazers. I'm hoping it'll come back up because, man, it got flattened. But anyway, it's good to have moisture. Can't complain too much. I'm not sure how well those cows survive with them baseball-sized hailstones. I hope they found a mesquite tree to get under.
Yeah, in Austin, we had a couple of weeks ago. We had some of that. I don't know if it was baseball size, but it was pretty good size, man. It was legit. CB, shout out to my man CB, and shout out to everybody. Appreciate it. Yeah, BJ Johnson, 82 days till kickoff. So I guess CB already throws it out there. BJ Johnson considered the greatest, number 82 in Texas football history. Could be. You got who are the 82s out there? Shout out to my man CB, puts this list together. You got Derek Lewis, who is now a coach. Brennan Eagles, old school. BJ Johnson, of course. Jeff Swain, Cody Robertson, Tommy Woodard in that conversation. But like I said, I played with BJ Johnson, so I'll state his case to be the greatest 82 of all time. So there you go, 82 days. We're excited about it. Speaking of 82 days, so we talk a lot of football on the show. Of course, Mondays, lifetime Longhorn, my former teammate. Speaking of teammates like BJ Johnson, man, Stevie Lee is going to join us a little bit later on Mondays. Also, we'll dive into a lot of recruiting. Big recruiting weekend this past weekend. Then you got another big recruiting weekend coming up this weekend. So we'll pick CJ's brain, talk to him about the Longhorns, the prospects that the Longhorns are looking at in this big recruiting weekend coming up. We'll also get into the the commitments that the Longhorns have. Over the weekend, got 3 of those commitments. And I want to get Coach's thoughts actually about a couple of those commitments. The receiver, Cohen Brown, the Longhorns got, and also Dalen Berryman, the defensive line, Louisiana, who I want to get Coach's thoughts about that as well. So we'll talk about those commitments. Anything you guys want to discuss, of course, super chats jump to the front of the line. You can interrupt the show at any time, but we'll try to address as many questions and comments as we can throughout the show. So we appreciate you guys and your participation as well. And once again, I know we've already said it a couple of times, but it doesn't get old. So while we're still within a reasonable range of it, I'll congratulate the ladies again because we haven't done it on the Winning Drive, on winning a national championship in softball. Fantastic. There was an amazing run by them. Congrats to Coach White. Congrats to the athletic department overall. Guys, I just realized that it was the 15th national title, I believe it is, total overall, since CDC took over. It's 15 of them. So we haven't done. I will say this because I got into a discussion with somebody about this, and actually it turned into a debate. They haven't been in the major sport. Actually, softball, you could make the argument, is one of the more popular sports they've won the national title in. Men's track and field, I believe they've done that as well. So that's impressive. Which one do you think is the toughest so far to win? Is it softball, guys? Softball, you've done swimming and diving, you've done track, you have track and field. Golf, I believe, is also one of those sports programs that has won a national title since CDC has been here. Is softball the toughest, considering you did it against $1 million pitcher? That was pretty impressive.
Yeah, you did it against $1 million pitcher, and you had to go through Oklahoma, right? Who's been the golden standard in the sport recently. You could argue that going back to back in volleyball, pretty darn tough as well. So
that is tough.
Credit to Jared Elliott over there as well. But I have to imagine there probably wasn't a more fulfilling feeling for a coach than it was for Coach Mike White whenever they finally got over the hump and saw somebody not Oklahoma in the College World Series final. So yeah, credit.
Yeah.
I have to imagine that's the answer.
And one of the silver linings in this was, in my opinion, at least it appeared post game, a Texas Tech coach besides Wes Kitley, the track coach, who's a good friend of mine, a classy coach at Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Thought he handled his post press conference very well. I mean, he just seems to be a classy guy. And one pitcher, those other girls he had pitching, they weren't slouches, man. I mean, of course, I think there was only 3 girls returning starters, I think, off of last year's Tech team that was last in the conference. So what he did was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So I guess that means that Del Conte's only got 5 toes left. I mean, he's got 10 rings on his fingers, and he's got 5 toes. He got five more toes left. He must have to start doubling up.
That's somebody's got to bring it up with CDC. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, the way you put that, Coach. You have to put them. Got to have digits to put all them damn rings on. What you gonna do with all of them? No, but congrats to the ladies. That was fantastic, and it was great to follow them. And obviously, the Longhorns' continued success they've had so far in their first year in the SEC. All right, let's get to. I remember Stevie Lee is here, as a matter of fact. So we'll get to Stevie because I want to ask Stevie and Coach and the entire panel about the historic decision, the House settlement being approved. I mean, college sports is about to change forever. They're resetting college sports in a sense with the House settlement. We'll talk about that a little bit with Coach and Stevie Lee as well. We'll get into that too coming up here in just a second. All right. There's one thing that I do want to bring up, and in fact, let's bring Stevie Lee on because Stevie is here. Let's just bring him on so we can talk about all this. And great to have Stevie Lee on. Stevie, thanks for joining us Monday as always, courtesy of our good friends at Hard Grove Roofing, hardgroveroofing.com. Coach just talked about baseball size hail, and we've had golf ball size hail here in Central Texas here in Austin recently. Well, if that's done some damage to your roof, or if you're not sure if it's done some damage to your roof, you need to reach out to our friends over at Hard Grove Roofing, hardgroveroofing.com, 512-645-3202, offering a free roof inspection right now. Offices all over Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas. And today will be a great opportunity for you to reach out to them if you're not sure what's happening with your roof, or if you want to go and try to DIY it yourself. I would advise against. Leave it to the professionals over at Hard Grove Roofing. Been around for a long time and the most pro burnt orange roofing company out there. So shout out to them and their ongoing support of Orange Texas football. And once again, thank you to them for bringing my man Stevie Lee on. All right, Stevie, how you doing, man? How was your weekend? First and foremost.
Weekend was great, man. Got a chance to relax. As soon as I get off the line with you guys, man, I'm gonna go hit this little golf ball around the golf course a little bit.
Yeah, more and more the former players, man. More and more the guys I played with, they talking golf. It's weird, Coach. I don't know what it is. I do a third and Longhorn. DJ talking about golf. Fozzie's golfing. Man, it's crazy how many of the old guys. It ain't me, by the way.
Come on, man. You got to get out there, dude.
Why?
Man, I don't got to go pay $100 to get frustrated. I can stay right here at home and get frustrated. I can go hit my thumb with a hammer. It won't cost me $100.
Yeah, and when I got into golf, it was 18 years ago. My first daughter was born. I got into golf, and then I got out after that. That 5 to 10 age.
Yeah,
you can't go play.
Time.
Yeah, but back then, man, Coach, you're exactly right, man. It's nearly $100 to play around, but back then it was like $30. So I don't play as much because I'm not as rich. So.
Hey, Stevie, I got one bit of advice for you. My college roommate was an all-state golfer, state champion in golfer. We go out when we was in college, we play golf. I hit a bad shot, and I just slammed my iron on the ground. He goes, "What are you mad at?" I said, "I shanked that shot." And he said, "How many times you been on the practice tee box this week?" I said, "None." "How many times you been in practice your pitching?" "How many times you been at the range this month?" I said, "0." He said, "You don't deserve to be good. You have no right to be mad because you haven't put anything into the game, but you're expected to give you something out." So I don't get mad anymore when I play because he's exactly right. You get out of golf what you put into it, And so you see these guys getting mad, and like me, they don't ever spend any time at the range. I just expect to go out because they were good at everything they did or whatever. But you don't pay the price, you ain't going to be good. And so there's no reason to get frustrated if you hadn't paid the piper.
Well, you know what?
Just an old man's advice right there.
I'm going to take that out right now with me here when I get off the line, because I said that I was not going to fill my Yeti up with whiskey and take it out there. Now I am.
Yeah.
Now I am.
Go.
Take that serious.
Yeah, no, it's an extremely frustrating sport to try to master. There's no doubt about that. All right, a lot of different things I want to ask you about, Stevie, real quick, because I know you want to get to the golf course. I don't know if some storm clouds are brewing. Look at your watch. Give me your thoughts about the House settlement that was approved just this past. It was crazy. It was like a news dump. They literally news dumped one of the most historic, impactful decisions in the history of college sports. They news dumped it on a Friday.
Yeah, man. And you know me, I go back and see what dates they cutting it off at, man. That was the first thing I looked at. Damn it, Rod, we ain't getting nothing.
No, we ain't getting nothing. Nope. Nah.
Yeah, but man, it is changing the shape of college football. We knew something like this was gonna happen. I'm still all for it. I'm still all for it. I don't know all the nuances of the bill. Are they still able to get their NIL money?
Yes, the NIL will go through now a separate clearinghouse, and every deal that's at least $600 must be approved by this separate clearinghouse. And the strange thing about it, the folks who are actually the basically kind of the group behind it, the platform behind it that does the actual research, they are saying that 70% of the previous deals that were done, NIL deals, prior to this new decision will have been negated, null and void. They said they wouldn't have approved 70% of them. So it will be a change of the guard from the NIL perspective in that regard. And now revenue sharing, of course, as we know, $20-something million that you'll have to share, and you'll have to divide that revenue up between the sports as you see fit as a athletic department, and how much of that is for football and basketball and baseball and women's basketball, that kind of stuff. And so on and so forth. So basically, you're getting paid, like you get a salary, that's your revenue sharing, and you can get NIL, I think, on as a result on top of that. If I'm not mistaken, the way that I interpret it.
So yeah, and that's kind of how I heard it as well. So you have CDC that's over the whole entire department, athletic department. Then you'll have a GM over all contracts, no? And then maybe you have a GM over each individual sport, a manager over each individual sport, and then CDC needs to know how much is going to football, how much is going to basketball, how much is going to ladies soccer, right? Is that about right?
Yeah, basically, most people assume because football generates the most revenue, pays for all the other sports.
Sure.
That the wise investment of your 20 million, whatever it be, most of it will be to football, which will probably be 75% of your revenue to football.
Now, I got a question for you. Now, if you are in a non-revenue generating sport like rowing, our rowing team may not generate, will they get in our revenue money, or will they?
That is a good question. Texas has not revealed what their breakdown will be. I'm assuming Texas will still try to have all sports get some revenue sharing, even if it's a really small, minuscule amount.
Yeah,
I believe that's because they want to be good in all the sports. That's important for Texas. We just talked about 15 national champions for CDC since he's been here, the Directors Cup. But every school won't do that, Stevie. A lot of schools will be like, nah, we just can't afford it. Period. Yeah. So I don't know what's going to Olympic sport.
CDC is just, he's going to be fair. That's what I believe in with all my heart. Whatever happens, it's going to be fair for the kids.
Yeah.
But no matter what sport, if you win a national championship, I mean, that's crazy not to get any cut out of that, Yeah. I think he'll be fair.
Yeah, and I hope he will, Coach. But $20 million over all the sports that we have, I'm not sure if I'm in an ivory tower right now. Is that enough? No, but is it enough? Is enough because we're going to 105 scholarships next year, right?
Yeah, that I do believe. And I say I haven't read through it completely, but I believe that's why Texas is not going to disassemble the structure they've built with their NIL and the Texas One Fund. They're not going to disassemble that because the belief is that there will be ways to supplement with the NIL, and I'm sure that based on the language, you'll be able. Like, hey, I'll give you an example. I'm not a lawyer, but the part that I found really intriguing because this commission that they're going to set up to help regulate NIL, they are going to determine your fair market value. That's basically what they're going to try to determine, which we all know you're going to lose in court if you're trying to, limit somebody's fair market value. That's what this antitrust lawsuits have all been about. So instead of them saying that they're going to determine fair market value, I believe the language that I read is basically that they're going to try to determine a reasonable range of compensation based on multiple factors. That's going to end up in court, y'all. Yeah. That language right there is going to end up in court. Because what the hell is a reasonable range of compensation based on multiple factors? What the hell is that? And then what the hell is fair market value? Fair market value is what somebody's going to pay you. You're going to pay me what? You're going to pay me whatever the candidate, what the young lady was making at Tech, $1 million to miss you. Then that's what I'm worth on open market because somebody's willing to pay me that. And from what I understand, that is capitalism. And when you try to stand in the way of that, which the NCAA has, you're going to end up losing in court. And that's what these antitrust lawsuits have been about. So that number one is going to end up as some really murky area that some litigation and lawsuit will have to determine, and a judge will. Okay.
Okay, Rob, we got some breaking news, brother.
Yeah, we got to break it. Okay. All right. We're going to have to deviate. All right. And dive into this because we got. Oh, see, you know what?
Lineman, baby. What do you think about this dude, Corey Wells?
Go. On, Stevie. Give me the breakdown, Stevie. Live on air.
Live on air. So he got his eyes up, playing with his hands. Look at this. Playing with his hands, eyes up, and you track the ball.
Look at that motor.
And you track the ball.
Mm-hmm. Pursuit to the football
angle.
Like that.
Good angle.
Good pursuit.
Angles.
Yeah, he does. That boy look like a young Stevie Lee out there, doesn't he? Oh, hell, I'm fired up. Let's go, Corey.
Hold me. I don't care. Just hold me.
They got two deep tackles back-to-back like that?
Both from the Deep South. So both, one from Louisiana, now this from Petal, Mississippi. You don't see Texas digging into Mississippi too often, obviously, for good reason.
Hey, what's the size difference in Wells and the kid from Louisiana?
Great question, Coach. I was going right there. So Dylan Berryman committed from Monroe, Louisiana, and went to Ouachita Parish. He's about 6'1" and change, maybe 6'1" and a half. He's about 330 pounds and looks every bit of it, Stevie. I don't know if you saw the photo from the weekend. He's standing right in front of a Jeep Grand Wagoneer, one of those big SUVs, and he dwarfs the truck, right? Impressive stuff. This, Corey Wells, about 6'5", 300, so much taller, but the weight, the size still there, and it certainly adds up with what Texas has continued to recruit on the defensive line. So 6'5", 300 for Corey Wells. Texas earned his commitment over Auburn, Ole Miss. He was expected to go to Mississippi State at the end of the month of June for an official visit there as well. But he told us yesterday at the airport, he said, hey, I think I'm good with my visits. And, you kind of got the sense talking to him that, okay, he likes Texas. Could a decision come quickly? Well, soon enough, a decision did, and he is now the 12th member of the Texas 2026 commitment class and the second on the defensive line, both of which coming in the last 48 hours.
I like this move of going ahead and committing and then enjoying your senior year. In December when they get done, getting ready to come on campus. I love this move, man. I love it.
Yeah, I like the fact that Texas continues to really take advantage of the SEC territory, the SEC region, Louisiana, now Mississippi. When the last time Texas got a player out of Mississippi?
Ooh.
Can somebody tell me that? I can't even remember that. Coach,
I think it was Aaron Bryant, I believe, was
he from Mississippi?
Mississippi.
It's just rare. We just don't. Texas, that's a pipeline that really hadn't started. Just shows you that they're digging in. They're digging in.
Yeah.
I love his hustle, man. I mean, he's raw. He's a diamond in the rough, but he's got one thing that it's hard to coach, and that is heart and hustle.
And size.
He got a motor.
Man.
He's big.
And he still has room to grow, which sounds crazy, but, just seeing him in person, there's plenty of frame to build out. 6'5", 300, you got plenty of, frame to work with. But, you get these guys from – and, Coach, we talked about it previously about Dylan Berryman is, there's no telling what their high school coaching situations like, what their off-season workout regimen looks like in high school. And, Mississippi specifically, you get these guys that – you can just kind of mold like Play-Doh. And at 6'5", 300, I'm not saying how big he could eventually get, but that's a frame. That's a kind of a build that Alfred Collins grew into, right? He was about 260, 270 when he committed to Texas, left at about 335 pounds. He's already kind of on that fast track pace right now to get to that size, about 330 right on the interior. And if he's moving that well already, as long as he continues in that path of a Torrey Becton strength and conditioning, the size will come naturally, but that athleticism will be what carries him over into what could be an all-conference player later on.
No, I love that. It says Donald Hawkins. Good one, guys. Yeah, that was another player. Remember, he came out of Mississippi.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he
did.
Yeah, that was one I think about. Yeah, it's just and you're right. Aaron Bryant was the other one. CJ, so good one there. We just don't get players often out of Mississippi, so. Good stuff. All right. Stevie, sorry we kept you too long. No, I appreciate you, but we had breaking news right in the middle, and it was perfect because it was a D tackle. Got to give
no question. I like it, man. I'm gonna go back and try to watch this kid's film. That looks fun. That looked a lot of fun, man. But y'all, thank y'all. I'm about to go hit the links. I'm gonna try to hit them straight for you, Coach.
Let's go, baby. Hey, if you don't get mad.
I won't get mad. I'll take a sip of whiskey for you.
There you go.
Woo! All right, thank you, Stevie. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Stevie.
Lifetime Longhorn Stevie Lee there. One of my favorite D tackles, and hopefully this young man also become one of my favorite D tackles. Texas gets a back-to-back D tackles in that 2026 class committed. We'll get back to that conversation. We got a super chat here really quickly I want to hit, and then we'll start talking about the other commitments that Longhorns got this weekend. I want to get Coach's thoughts on those and continue to get you guys' thoughts on the latest committee, Corey Wells. But Jay Lee here says, will July 1st deadline motivate high-end recruits to commit and close their NIL deal? Couldn't it cost them a lot of money if they wait till after July 1st? CJ, could that be one of the reasons? It seems like we're seeing Texas stack this class earlier. Maybe that just be because Texas has shown success now. You've gotten guys drafted back-to-back years, double digits. You've gotten to the college football playoff in back-to-back years and to the Final Four in back-to-back years. So this could just be Texas benefiting and reaping, what they've been sowing for the last couple of years with Sark. Or is it some of this house settlement, which I believe, all of it doesn't actually become law of the land until July 1st. Could it be trying to grandfather in some of these deals where guys have been, at least they've been advised like, hey, y'all better get it in now. And if you don't, and we have no idea how it's going to look on the other side.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I mean, we've talked about it. Mark Bowman comes to mind most recently. We talked about Jackson Cantwell, the number one offensive lineman in the country that ended up committing to Miami. A lot of quick decisions, I guess, is the best way to put it. But when you hear about what's behind the scenes, and the rumor floated out for Mark Bowman is about $7 million, all of which pretty heavily front loaded into a NIL deal, and that's to beat this house settlement deal, right? Because come July 1st, there's going to be new rules, new stipulations in place in which everything will essentially have to be, approved or authorized by a third party NIL regulator, essentially. And so to beat that buzzer and get those deals ahead of time, well, now you don't have to get that approved, and you can make these, kind of outlandish NIL deals reasonable. In other words, you wouldn't have been able to after this is enacted for the House settlement. So I think so. What's going to be interesting is having talked to a couple kids who had just visited Texas this weekend. Some were saying, I want to go see all my visits. I want to make sure I see everybody that I'm, interested in at the moment. And then what's next? Do you have that decision coming July 4th? Because there's a lot of commitments coming then. Do you push to July 10th like a Lamar Brown? Or do you go ahead and say, hey, my final visit's June 20th. I know where I want to go, June 24th, June 27th, June 30th. I'm going to drop it and sign with wherever I want to go to beat that July 1st date. That's kind of what we've seen in years past, but this obviously throws a big wrinkle into the timeline.
Yeah.
So I think that final week of June is going to be
hot.
Pretty good appetizer for the July 4th fireworks.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. And I it's a smart move. I mean, there's no telling how much money this could end up costing you if you wait a little bit too late. All right, good stuff. Thank you, Jay Lee, for the question. We appreciate that very much. How about this? I want to get Coach's thoughts. We'll get back to some of your questions, so keep them coming. I want to get your thoughts, Coach, about the latest commitments for Longhorns. I know they just got Corey Wells, and I haven't even watched Corey Wells film, so I was watching it real time like you guys. But they got a receiver committed over the weekend, Cohen Brown, and also Dylan Berryman, another defensive tackle, committed. And I want to get your thoughts, Coach, quickly about these two players and how they fit in with what Texas is doing, and what are your thoughts about the upside of these two prospects?
Well, first of all, I don't follow the recruiting as close. As a matter of fact, CG, I think one time right before you had to cut out of show early because you were at Waxahachie, I think maybe to see Brown. Is that right?
Yeah. Good call, Coach.
Yeah, I didn't really see that coming at this point. There's a lot of folks think he's underrated, and so forth. I would love to see a time, I wish there was a way to really evaluate and put a number or a value on someone's acceleration. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You're in a car 0 to 60, as they say, or whatever, because I think he would be up there, pretty. He's definitely fast twitch. But I didn't see this one coming. But you see a lot of comparisons to Golden and things like that. I think that's probably fair, and in what I've seen. But I trust the evaluation process of this Texas staff. And I think we can look for big things from Brown because had we not offered him, if we offered him, that makes me feel really good about him because we're getting the best we're recruiting guys and signing guys with the idea of, can this guy help us win a national championship? And obviously they think he can, or they wouldn't offer him a scholarship. But what are your thoughts on him, CJ, after seeing him firsthand?
Yeah, Coach, that last sentence I think is really telling. They wouldn't have taken him if they didn't think that they could, or if he could help them win a national championship. And they certainly did a lot of digging on Cohen Brown, right? Chris Jackson saw him in person in the spring twice. Chris Gilbert stopped by the following week. So they had a lot of eyes on him. Not just Chris Jackson, but Mark Orfe stopped by. AJ Milwee stopped by. There were 4 different Texas coaches at Waxahachie High at some point in the spring to watch a practice and see him in action. Of course, recruiting the quarterback certainly helps, but point being, a lot of different opinions got back to to Steve Sarkisian. The offer was extended, the official visit was set, and then the green light was instantly shown when he stepped foot on campus. And I've done a lot of digging on Cohen here over the last few weeks, and Coach, that Matthew Golden comparison comes to mind pretty quickly. Why? Well, you look at the NFL measurables at the combine, 5'11 and a half, 191 pounds. We know about the 4.29 out of the 40-yard dash. Cohen Brown right now, 6 foot flat, 190 pounds, ran a 10.69 in the 100. If you look back to what Golden hit at Klein whenever he was back in Klein Kane back in high school, he was a 10.93 guy. So look, the comparison measurably is there. Now the question is, will he have the quickness, that start-stop as you talk about, Coach? Maybe not, because I think that was one of the things that Matthew Golden really excelled at. You saw that on the field in his breaks, but he's been working with margin hooks since he was about 8th grade. He's been in the lab, and I'll tell you what, there's not have been a larger sophomore to junior leap that I've seen from kids that I've seen in person than Cohen Brown over the last 12 months or so. So 10-6-9, very much legit. And he's a kid that the coaches at Waxahachie have to tell to get out of the gym. Hey, man, go home, rest up. So I like hearing that a lot. And for Texas to take him while still waiting for a decision from Jalen Lott, a Caden Finley, Jabari Mack, currently committed to LSU, coming in next weekend, and then telling Mason James, hey, you know what? We've got our guy. That should tell Texas fans, hey, Texas liked him quite a bit.
I'll tell you another thing I think about this guy that has to be in place is his heart and his locker room presence and that type of thing, because, you know, his size, his speed, there's a lot of guys in the country that can match that, you know, but maybe not with his skill set, but he must be a guy like you were saying, CJ, work ethic, you know, locker room guy, just a culture guy, a culture fit for Texas, you know, for them to take him at this point. I feel really good about it. I think he's going to be a good player for us. Whether he'll be one of the all-time greats, that remains to be seen. And you also have to keep in mind the kid. This is his junior year in high school. He just got his driver's license. He might not even have his license yet.
Last thing I'll add on Cohen, and again, talk about year-end progression from a year ago. The competitiveness has been there. And so we talk about loaded rooms at Texas. Wide receiver is always going to be in that conversation. Just the Steve Sarkisian offense. It's going to be attractive, right? You go out and you add, 3 5-star guys this past year and Emmett Mosley out of the portal. Cohen Brown's a guy that's very competitive. So much so that, look, I practice that I was at, Coach, when I had to cut early, he gets a little chippiness with other wide receivers, making sure his quarterback's getting the ball where it wants to go. I'm not going to say diva because I think it was all in good, in faith, but you see him say, hey, man, I'm open. You got to get that to me. This is where we've got to be come season. So the competitiveness is there. I think this is going to be a good addition to the room. And now how else do they fill it? It's going to be the big question, especially with Jermaine Bishop. Could go either way.
Yeah, no, I like his game. Catch the ball out in front of him. You can always see his hands out in front of him. Attacks the football. He's got long speed instead of the quick twitch. He's a long speed guy. Once he gets going, Coach talking about acceleration. Once he gets going, he started running downhill. Long speed. Honestly, that's what you go look at it. I think white chocolate's like that too. Mm-hmm. They got long speed. They get going downfield. Those guys are really dangerous on vertical routes because they stack you really well. They hit another gear. You assume as a DB, he's at top speed. That guy accelerates and can hit another gear. He's got that kind of speed, in my opinion. So I like him. I like the fact that he catches the ball out in front of him. He does have he's just a smooth athlete overall. Don't see a lot of wasted movement with him either. Right. It's escapability too on some of the screens and some of the shorter routes. So I like him. I don't know about recruiting rankings. That ain't really. I'm a coach. That ain't really my thing. But I do trust the Texas coaches at this point. I think they've earned our trust, and I think they believe they can develop him into being a great player. Dylan Berryman. We'll get to Corey Wells here in a second, of course, because that's the latest D tackle commitment. But Coach Dylan Berryman, about 6'2", 15 out of Louisiana. What are your thoughts? I mean, I think D tackle is one of those hard positions to really project from high school.
Yeah, the first thing that came to my mind was watching him, and I can't tell you exactly why. What was the former great defensive tackle from Texas, from Brenham High School, Malcolm Brown.
That's good. About
the same size. He may be a little bit taller. Berryman might be a little bit taller than Malcolm. I thought he was like De'Vondre Sweat size. I mean, that's what he looks like playing against these guys. He's a diamond in the rough. He doesn't have the quickness maybe that Malcolm Brown had at this time, but like you get these kids out of Louisiana, Mississippi, like CJ and I were talking about pre-show. Their defensive line coach may be an auto mechanic or something. You don't know. You don't know how much coaching he's getting and the expertise that coach has. But he's a diamond in the rough. That's the way I see him. He's not great mechanically, but he's a great player. But when I look at Wells Wells looks like he even moves better than Berryman does.
Yeah.
He has more of a motor just from looking at the few clips that I've looked at on Wells. He seems to have a little more of a motor, but Berryman is a guy that can still, stick his foot in the ground and go back and hustle and make plays like this. And the thing I like about these two guys is, like I mentioned earlier, and again, you have to realize we're looking at highlights. We're not looking at every single play. We're looking at highlights. If I was recruiting this kid, if I really wanted to evaluate him, I'd look at every single play. I want to see him at his worst. I want to see him at his best. See if he just plays when he has to, or if he's playing this hard every snap. But, they try to double team him. He understands pressure. He understands angles. He understands leverage. But, again, a lot of times he's not being blocked very hard. It's not like he's going against, 3, 4, 5-star, offensive linemen. So it's a little bit hard to tell. But I definitely like his frame. I like the way that he moves to the ball. And then Wells is another guy that, just having seen the little bit we saw on him a while ago, I was fired up about Berryman. I think I'm more fired up about Wells, especially after hearing CJ tell his size and the fact that he still has an opportunity to grow. That excites me because guys, a defensive lineman that will hustle to the ball, no matter if it's going sideline to sideline or even down the field. I love to see guys like that. I love to see defensive linemen that'll hustle and make tackles, and double teams don't seem to bother me. Especially guys, they put Berryman in the backfield and motion him, and let him block. Or I think he even scored a touchdown one time on the goal line. Short yardage, they handed it to him. That tells you the coaches like him because they're not going to give the ball to a guy in the end zone, let him score. Just right here. Here it is right here. Hand the ball, let him score. They must love this guy. He must have a great personality, a great locker room guy, or they ain't going to let him score a touchdown. Trust me, I'm a high school coach. You don't want to hear a guy talk all the time about the touchdown he scored when he's lazy and big-headed and all that stuff. So I'm excited about these two guys.
Yeah, they're fun. The one thing I'll say on Dylan Berryman is, and Matthew, maybe you could bring up the photo I tweeted over the weekend of him standing in front of that car because, Coach, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but it's hilarious. It's quite frankly very funny just how big he is.
Is it wide? Is he just wide?
He's huge. He's a boulder.
Punch,
like
right?
Refrigerator Perry type guy.
That's the best way I could describe him is just he's a rock. And I think that's what he'll eventually be for Texas, a guy that'll weigh 330, maybe 335. Again, only about 6'1.5", and I don't envision him getting a whole lot taller.
Whoa!
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
So big boy, he's barrel chested.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about it with the addition of Cole Brevard out of the portal from Purdue is, you probably aren't expecting him to be anything more than just a guy that sticks his nose in the ground. Coach, you mentioned putting your feet in the ground and going side to side. Look, sometimes you got to just eat a double team, stick a knee in the ground and make sure that you're not being blown off into the second level of the defense.
Down. Yeah.
That's exactly what Dylan Berryman to me looks like, a guy that's just going to eat a lot of space. And for guys that Texas are recruiting at linebacker and have brought in over the last few years, they've got to be over the moon happy because now everything's going to be freed up for them to go make plays because I can't envision a lot of people single-handedly moving him out of a position, especially after a few years of college strength and conditioning. So the run defense, as we've talked about, if you're able to kind of supplement that with what Texas is recruiting off the edge, woo-hoo-hoo, there's your front seven. So I love this take. You add it next to another guy like Corey Wells, as we've just talked about. That's a strong start to this 2026 defensive line class. And then they're aiming high, right? You still got a Lamar Brown. You still got a chance there. And all of these all of these edge rushers to come as well. But I really like this take, both of them.
Hey, there's no fat on that guy.
Man, that's crazy.
No,
I see it now. I do see it. It's hard to determine like a player's build all the time in pads, but he's not. That ain't a lot of fat. Like he ain't built like your usual nose tackles.
Right?
Was he 350? Was he 310 here? Whatever. Was he 310 there?
I think he's closer about 320, 325 right now.
Yeah, dang, that's crazy.
And again, he's going into his senior season.
Wow. Yeah. So exactly. That's what Coach was saying. He's like, he's young. And also, I don't know what kind of strength and conditioning program he's in, but even some of the really good high schools, they're not necessarily built to have an elite strength and conditioning program too. And then they get to Texas, they get meal plans and nutritionists and dietitians. Man's body will even transform more. So I see it. I mean, and you got to be like them to see the entire upside. They got a plan for these guys.
Yeah,
they
fun little
yeah.
Peel back from the curtains a little bit on the official visit. Dylan Berryman gave quite a performance of Big X the Plug during karaoke night. So he was up there singing, putting on a show, and soon thereafter told the Texas staff that he was going to commit. News went public about 9:30 or so, but for that dinner, a lot of smiling faces and hugs all the way around for Big Dylan Berryman right there.
Man, these dudes in high school. Was he 17 now? What is he, 17?
Yeah, just about 16, 17.
Grown man up there. like he's paying a mortgage. So, man, just looking grown. Yeah, exactly. Like, I didn't look like that in high school. Like, I looked like a kid, 17.
I hadn't seen many guys at all in high school that looked like that.
They recruit more of those dudes because Justice Terry was one of them.
That's man.
Yes. Texas is recruiting first off the bus players. Between like Lance Jackson and Justice Terry and these dudes, just like, yeah, that'll intimidate. Ain't no doubt about it. All right, that's good stuff. I will say this about getting to the Corey Wells commitment too. You say 6'5", 6'5", 320. Is that the measurements were you said for him?
Yeah, about 6'5", 300, 305.
We don't have arm lengths on these guys. I want to know arm lengths of those guys. I don't know why people don't look at that more. I would love to know for these because do they have?
I promise you, the coaches know.
I know the coaches know. I know they
did was measure them.
Yeah, they don't put that info off there for everybody, but I would love, like in the recruiting breakdowns, if they were like, hey, arm length. I remember Mel Kiper saying that the most important characteristic for him, and I think he was talking about overall, but he was talking about specifically about I think it was a D lineman at this point, but he said the first thing he looks at is arm length. He said if he could look at one trait for all NFL players in terms of projecting success, he's like, I'm looking at arm length. It usually determines wingspan. He said there's so much that helps you as an athlete in football is you have that arm length. I remember Jason Kelsey. He was doing an interview and talking about the best D tackles he faced that gave him the most trouble. Of course, he talked about Aaron Donald. I think he talked about Snacks Harrison, Dexter Lawrence. And you know who he randomly brought up? Poona Ford. He said Poona Ford gave me fits because he said he's so like small, so center of gravity, lowest pad level. I can't get lower than this dude, number one. And he said his arms were so long, like he was just. And Poona Ford was just built weird. He's like compact like that, but really long arms. I mean, it's just a weird, build. And I think that weird build actually helped him be a phenomenal D tackle in the league. But he said he brought up Poona Ford, but he said the long arms were the reason. So I would love to know arm length of guys. Just throwing it out there. So especially D tackles. Oh man, I need to know that. O linemen too. Trying to keep guys at bay. I think that's big. All right, let's thank one of our sponsors before we move on here. Let's thank our friends over at Flat Creek Estate Winery. Really appreciate our friends over at Flat Creek and their ongoing support and continued support of Born Texas football. Did you know the most awarded wine in Texas is actually the vineyard closest to Austin? That's right, folks. Flat Creek Estate Winery is just minutes from downtown Austin, and they've won award after award for their vintage wine, Super Texan. The Super Texan is now available at your local spec, so you can give it a try there. Also, they have it at our local Central Market here, so the great word is getting out about our friends over at Flat Creek Estate Winery. Flat Creek not only producing some of the best premium wines on the market, but it's also a gorgeous venue with barbecues and wine tastings every single weekend. It's perfect for a day date with your significant other or a weekend getaway with your significant other. That's Flat Creek Estate Winery, flatcreekestate.com. We really appreciate them for their ongoing support of Texas football. All right, let's hit a couple of questions. I know we got a few of them lined up. John, he says, wow, still a lot of D tackles visiting. So how many does Texas take with two already in the boat? That is a really good question. You brought up a couple of names already, CJ. You don't think they're done with D tackle? What's the overall number we're looking at?
3 at the very least. I think 4 might be the number as well, especially since last year you technically took 3, but you're still waiting on the physical development of a Justice Terry to play the inside, and also still kind of up in the air whether or not Lance Jackson moves to the inside. So You know, we don't want to be in a situation again where you're taking 4 or 5 defensive linemen in the portal every year. You'd like to have the homegrown development, know the system, know, kind of the ins and outs every offseason. So, look, you've got 2, Dylan Berryman, Corey Wells. I think that's a very strong start. But you start looking at what else Texas is bringing in. Bryce Perry right out of Buford, Georgia. I mentioned Lamar Brown earlier out of University Lab, Baton Rouge. Kendall Gerville is the one that I've had circled. And between him and Damari Simeon, are you taking 4? If both say yes, I have a very hard time saying no to Damari Simeon out of New Jersey and Kendall Gerville out of Florida. You gotta stock up on some of these big time SEC level defensive linemen. And this is the year I think you do it, especially considering you took 3 last year, but it kind of is just about 2 and maybe some change there. So I love it, but I think Texas is in a very healthy spot on the defensive line. And you're starting to see, Rod, you mentioned that July 1st date of guys trying to get in the fold earlier. Yeah. To me, they're also competing against a lot of these other guys that Texas are bringing in. You got the first visit of the official visit weekend underway for Dylan Berryman and Corey Wells. You don't need to go see anywhere else. I'm shutting down. I want to lock my spot into Texas and make sure that guys coming in next weekend or the guys coming in June 20th don't have a chance to steal my spot. I think that's more of what it is this week.
CJ, what's the status of the 105 scholarships?
We're still waiting. And right now it feels like we should have had some sort of answer from that on the House settlement, but there wasn't. So it feels like unless it comes from the NCAA, the way I've heard is coaches are still preparing for 85 roster scholarships and still kind of waiting to see whether or not that truly affects or eliminates the walk-on program too. I talked to a college coach when I was in New Orleans. He said, yeah, man, I have no time for walk-ons. I was like, well, you still got the program, right? And he goes, wow, not really. I was like, okay. So some are preparing for life without it. Texas still kind of preparing as if it will be in play for the 2025-26 season. Just don't know yet.
And just a note about that as it relates to the House settlement roster limitations, the judge, she did state that they can still sue over roster limits. She said that athletes could sue for damages over implementation of roster limits.
If their spot's cut, right?
If their spot's been exactly, because there's something about somebody's spots being grandfathered in, that kind of stuff. So I'm sure that would also be something that would be litigated in court as it relates to the House settlement. All right. Thanks for that question. How about this one from Syracuse Horn? It is a good question. He says, are this year's recruits early enrollee candidates too?
That's a really good question. Right now, I know that there's a few. Diabell obviously will be in the conversation. I believe Max Wright is moving that way, as is Jermaine Bishop. I'm still waiting to hear back from Hayward Howard and Raheem Riley, and then obviously these new 3-4 commits over the weekend. I've yet to, I guess, run that conversation by them, but I would imagine Texas had 21 or 22 high school early enrollees. These guys will do everything they can over the summer and into their fall campaign senior year to make sure that they're ready to move into Austin January 10th, 12th. What is the turnover? But that's gonna be priority for sure.
Let me ask you, CJ, what's the most D tackles Texas has taken in a recruiting cycle? Like, not obviously transfer portal, because we've taken a ton recently in the last 3 recruiting transfer portal cycles. But how many have they taken in a recruiting class, like the most? You can remember? Yeah,
that's a really good question. I want to say you go back and you look at the Jere Bledsoe, Aaron Bryant group, and again, that's kind of unfortunate that whole class didn't work out for you, because it set Texas back quite a bit. But I haven't seen anything more than about 4. I think that's kind of that max number.
Yeah.
Because then it kind of gets tough to, hey, there's only really 2 spots for interior guys. Here's 5 guys in the class. You still want to come? Yeah. So 4 is probably the ceiling.
It's such an interesting position, Coach, because Texas can make the argument they've had more success developing D tackles than any other program actually in the last 3 years, because they've sent 2 to the NFL via the draft in each of the last 3 years. Nobody in the country, not Ohio State, not Georgia, have done that. And yet we've seen them go to the transfer portal and get 8 D tackles the last couple of years via the transfer portal. So I do think, like CJ says, they're trying to make sure that they don't have that urgency or have to overly rely on the transfer portal. And they know they can develop D tackles. Whatever they're doing is working. I just think they want to make sure they got enough guys in the pipeline ready to go that have already developed.
That's why I don't know if you take 4 because, you just save an ace in the hole, for just an incredible stud that you can't pass up instead of going, golly, I wish we had another spot, to get this guy because he's a no-brainer. He's a difference maker.
It's true. It's a good point.
Yeah, and that I don't want to say is likely to happen, but I'm just thinking of previous cycles. You thought Colin Simmons was going to sign with an LSU. Well, he ends up with Texas. Anthony Hill, very much the same. You wait out for these guys. Texas very much is well practiced in this. And, the first idea that comes to my head is, hey, what if Lamar Brown ends up at LSU? What if LSU again goes 7-5 and they fire Brian Kelly? Well, if you take 4 right now, do you tell the 5-star Lamar Brown, hey, sorry, we don't have a spot for you? I think it's a great spot or great call, coach.
Yeah, you might be right about that one for sure. All right, getting back to the questions here. This one from Jesse says, CJ, I know it's early, but do we finish with a top 3 recruiting class?
I think so. And it feels maybe a bit premature. Of course, Texas now with, I believe, 12 commits in the class. It feels tough to predict who else might join the fold, but look, you've got a 5-star in Diabell. You got a borderline 5-star in Jermaine Bishop. And then you look at what else Texas is in for. 5-star John Turntine, 5-star Felix Ojo, 5-star Jalen Lott in my eyes, and a number of other really talented out-of-state kids. Xavier Griffin coming in, Braden Rouse coming in, 2 linebackers from Georgia. It's going to be very difficult to say that there are going to be 3 for sure better classes than what Texas will be able to accumulate this cycle. That's coming off of a number 1 cycle a year ago. So really talented all the way around. And there's probably going to be more fireworks next week as well, especially when you start considering Texas is going to be pushing for Sam Rosenborough, Kendall Gerville, Kosi Okpala. I mean, all these guys coming in. I think so.
All right, good stuff. Let's thank another sponsor before we answer some more questions. If you have a question, get it out there. We still got time. Let's thank our friends over at Von Lane before we get back to the questions. You've probably had to travel between the major Texas cities for business or to go visit family going to Houston or Dallas or Austin, San Antonio, and it's a toss-up, right? Do you deal with the airport chaos and hope your flight isn't delayed, or do you brace yourself for hours behind the wheel, battling traffic and road rage, burning an entire day of productivity? Now there's a third option, and it's better in every way. You arrive at a luxury hotel terminal, no TSA lines, no long-term parking lots, just a seamless boarding experience that takes minutes, not hours. You settle into a plush leather seat, a hot towel, pillow, and blanket are at arm's reach. Your attendant offers complimentary snacks, beverages, and on select trips, a full meal if you'd like. And if you need to relax, well, you can lean back and enjoy the ride. But if you want to stay productive, there's high-speed Wi-Fi and power at every seat. And while you're unplugging or powering through, the Von Lane team will be monitoring traffic in real time using smarter routes and efficient detours to keep your trip smooth and on schedule. And now is the perfect time to plan your fall travel. Booking is open through September. So whether you're headed to a college football game, like a lot of you will be, or a weekend getaway or a business trip that needs to be done right, Von Lane makes the journey part of the reward. Von Lane serves Austin, Dallas, Houston, Fort Worth, San Antonio, and in the Southeast, Atlanta, Nashville, and Memphis as well. Visit vonlane.com. That's vonlane.com, VONLANE.com. Use the code OTF25. You'll save $20 off your first ride with Von Lane. That's Von Lane, elevated regional bus transportation. And I love Von Lane. I've actually taken it to Houston, DFW, visiting family, and taking it for business. And it's been fantastic. My wife actually loves it too. She's used to Von Lane. So I would recommend it just personally. But also we appreciate their ongoing support of Orange Texas football and sponsoring the winning drive. All right, Taylor here with a super chat. Thank you, Taylor. Very kind of you. Says Ojo canceled his visit. Good sign, I'd say.
Recruitment. It is a good sign. I don't think it's that much of a difference maker in his recruitment. I don't think Oklahoma is going to be that much of a factor for him. He was scheduled to go in June 20th to Oklahoma. The big one you got to watch out for here is Ohio State and Michigan, who's going to be involved in a number of these big offensive line tackle prospects, John Turntine being another, Malachi Lee, who just visited Texas this past year. Wish my camera would stop lagging. That's a pretty unfortunate face there. But yeah, no Oklahoma. They spent their bag last year on Fasusi. So I don't think they were going to be a big player in that one to begin with.
All right. And thank you, Taylor. We appreciate the super chat there. Marco says, Rod, if you were a recruit today, what are the top 5 schools you would want to visit that are different from the schools you actually visited as a recruit? My final 5 schools were Texas, Texas A&M, Penn State, Florida State, Colorado. I visited 4 of those 5. The only one I did not visit was Penn State. Yeah, Sandusky was up there. Yeah, dodged a bullet on that one. But I still would go visit Colorado because I don't know if I would have been I guess today would I be a Deion fan as much as I probably would have visited Deion. I'm not gonna lie to you. I love Deion. Think Deion's awesome. Think Deion's really cool. So unfortunately, I would have visited Deion. Texas, honestly, a lot of my top 5 would have probably been the same. Texas would have been big on my list. I would have been big on Texas. Like I said, Colorado would probably have been there just because I'm a big Deion fan. So I probably threw Colorado in there. Would Texas A&M have made it? That's the question. I don't know. Like Texas A&M, remember they were coming off a Big 12 title in 98. I was recruited in 99. Texas A&M was still, I know y'all don't want to hear this, they were still the wrecking crew back then. Like they were still in Houston. They were actually getting more recruits than Texas was in Houston at the time. Matter of fact, from Houston Lamar, we hadn't had anybody that went from Houston Lamar to Texas. We had guys go to A&M, guys go to Oklahoma. And I think I was the first one to start the pipeline to Texas.
So who was it? Was it Jackie Sherrill? Who was the head coach at A&M at that point?
Oh, it was RC. RC Slow. Love me some RC.
Good
RC.
dude.
Oh,
Good
great
dude.
man. Good man. Oh, love me some RC, man. RC is the reason I stayed in Texas. He said, yeah, I tell the story all the time, but he said, listen, your parents won't be able to go to game if you go to Colorado or Penn State or Florida State. Your mom and dad will go to 1-2 games a year. And that was a hell of a line for a 17-year-old because I thought to myself, this is before NIL and all this other stuff going on. So now it ain't a big issue. But mom and dad going to the games, big deal for a 17-year-old Rod B in 1999. So that was it right there. Nobody knew, but at the time, RC had already narrowed my choices down to 2 schools, Texas and Texas A&M. He should have. That was the moment he should have pushed. He didn't. I remember he did not push and said, now why don't you just make sure that school is A&M? Maybe emotionally it was something. He did not. He kind of let it go. It's a great line. Got me to narrow my choices down, but then a young, brash, vibrant Mac Brown who could, sell sand to a beach. He came in and once he drank my mama's sweet tea and sat on that couch, it was a done deal. So I listen, Georgia would be on my list today. Honestly, I probably want to go to USC and see Hollywood. Why not in the NIL area? Plus what Lincoln Riley's paying. I'm going out there. They paying some big bucks. So Texas.
What about Texas Tech? If Cody Campbell's if they're in the backyard right now saying, hey, you get to stay in Texas and we got some oil money for you.
Hey, you know what? If Texas Tech dropping that bag, I'm not gonna lie, I'd have to consider it. CJ, I'd have to consider it these days, man. No doubt about that. I would say Ohio State and Georgia would be up there because I would be about development. And they've proven they can develop DBs. And, Texas, that would have been my heart. So he's right about Tech, though. The ones I didn't visit, I think CJ's right. Let's go USC. Let's go. Ooh, should I throw Miami in there? Oh, young Robbie, Miami. We're going to go to Miami. We're going to Hollywood, and we're going to Miami. Georgia, Ohio State. All right. And another one I didn't visit. Let's go. I guess I'll go Oregon. Oregon's cool and sexy. Nike, that kind of thing. But I think CJ's right about Texas Tech. If some coach came in there and was like, hey, man, we paying the most. I'm like, all right. I'd put Texas Tech randomly in my top 5. Be like, why is Texas? One of these schools is not like the other.
Okay. now that it's been, 25 years ago, did anybody ever induce you with illegal stuff?
No, I never got. Like I said, I wasn't very good then because I never got.
Oh, what? You visited Penn State?
Never.
Colorado.
I never
Rod.
see that stuff.
Show me.
I wish. I've heard stories about
little
guys.
handshakes like these. What's up?
Nothing. CJ never got $100 handshake. The most I got that I knew was good. I get some free meals here and there. You know, you go somewhere like hey, eat for free. Yeah. I'm not gonna say what restaurant, nothing like that. But Robbie might get a free meal. That was something that was no, you can't do that. Even these days, there are stories where I've talked to guys like Sam Ellinger and talked to guys like David Ash, and they were like, the coaches always tell them, be sure that even if you get a free meal, you leave a tip. So it looks like you paid for something when you leave. So everybody knows you ain't supposed to be getting nothing for free. So you need to make sure, either they were like, sir, it's on us. Be like, nah, I'm good. I'm paying what I think I should pay out, whatever it is. So yeah, I mean, I got some free meals. I remember like my senior year when agents started to come around. Because agents, when they know you're draft eligible, they start, I don't even know how they show up where they show up, but they do. And yeah, I would say agents, they had no money, you know, and just some perks, you know what I mean? Yeah. I would just say that I got a couple of perks because they were trying to recruit me. And I didn't even go with those guys, actually. I ended up going with Jim Steiner, who was a really good agent at the time. And so that's the most I ever got. That's just full disclosure. And on 6th Street, you got free drinks and whatever. But that happens in every sport to everybody. I'm just sorry. That's the way it is. Like, I'm sorry. If y'all don't want to hear that, if you are playing at Texas, usually there's a certain place you can go, or maybe places where you can get hooked up with some free drinks.
But put that in the unwritten rules, Rod, of being a college athlete is
yeah.
Big tip. The other one is look. I guess the first rule is always leave some cash on the table for your free meal, right? That's the first one. Yeah. The second one's probably, hey, don't tell the cops where you're headed with the recruits if you get pulled over.
To get them free drinks and free meals, don't tell the cops. Agreed. Yeah, exactly. That kind of stuff. So, yeah, someone say females get, Erica said free drinks happen for females too. Oh, yeah, no. They like the sports teams in their bars.
Yeah, man, they get cool.
Me. They're celebrities on campus. So when they get the basketball team in there, the football team in there, hell, softball, volleyball, the volleyball chicks, trust me, everybody knows when the volleyball girls go out because they're all like 6'3", 6'2". You don't see women like that beautiful and attractive and that athletic walking around. So everybody wants the volleyball ladies in there too. So if you're a sports team on campus, they want you in their place. It's good advertising.
Man, I bet when Ricky Williams walked in a place, it was nuts.
Boom! Exactly. You and Arch goes out, it's wild. It's like Arch gonna. Arch. I hung out with Sims when I was on campus, and I just said there was a little gaggle that would follow Sims. But hey, we're going to boom. It's the way it is. It's it's part. It comes with the territory of being a Texas. Not just football, but all of them. I think they're all celebrities to a certain extent. Especially
BY couldn't go anywhere, I'm sure, because BY 6'5". It's not
stands out.
Stands out anywhere, be unnoticed.
Yeah, and the quarterbacks always got an entourage. Every QB in every major program's got an entourage walking around with him.
I don't know if Colt McCoy had an entourage. He had sidekick Jordan. That's about it. Colt Jordan sit back in the room playing guitars or something, out fishing or hunting somewhere.
That is true. That's a good point. Yeah, because David Ash was like that too, Coach.
No, David wouldn't go anywhere. No way.
So when you're the starting quarterback and you don't go out a lot, you still gotta regulate the team. You still, you can't be having guys out there wilding out. So different leadership styles, man. Different leadership styles. All right, let's get back to him here. We got a couple of questions. How about this one from Jedi Master Bevo? He says, CJ, what were the vibes from Crowell, Benjamin, and Lee from the weekend?
Yeah, I'll start with Devon Benjamin. He was one of the few that I talked to as well. Look, he still wants to take his visits, and I think Texas is right there, 50-50 shot that they land him. Someone in his camp told me that they were headed out to the Carolinas to go see a school. I'm not sure exactly where in Carolina. I don't know if it's UNC. I don't know if it's Clemson. I don't know if it's South Carolina. But look, Oregon and Washington are expected to get the final 2 official visits. And then, of course, Texas is right there. They got him on campus twice in the last 45 days. I think he's the top defensive back in the country, safety-wise this year. So, look, Texas right where they need to be right now. And then Malachi Lee, getting him on campus from Hawaii. Look, welcome to the heat, right? You're going to Texas right now in June. I know it probably feels a little bit nicer out there in Hawaii. Michigan's a school right there in the mix for him as well. He probably has the nicest overall physique of any offensive lineman I've seen. And I know Felix Ojo's in that conversation, but look, Malachi Lee, 6'7", 320. He's got about 40 pounds right now on the frame compared to that of 6'7", 280 on Felix Ojo. I really liked Malachi Lee, and I think he's got it up top. Brandon Baker hosted him on the official visit, and Texas was his first offer as well. So a little bit of a soft spot for the Horns there. Kyle Flood sticking in that one. But those two are some to watch right now. And I think Crowell, tough to beat. He was on campus. I think the visit went well, but Alabama, Auburn, going to be really tough to beat for the Alabama prospect. I would say if he's not wearing a Crimson Tide jersey next year, I'd be pretty surprised.
Oh, okay. There you go. CJ. Oh, CJ always dropping those great nuggets. As a matter of fact, if you want more of those nuggets that CJ drops, that Jerry drops as well, now is a great time to do it. You can become an OTFOG. That's the code you use. And for first time, that's why Matthew's the best in the business. Didn't even tell Matthew that I was just rolling. For first time subscribers, you can get a year subscription to On Texas Football for just $39.95. All right. That's a damn good deal. I can tell you that, considering what Jerry and what CJ are dropping over there all the time. Jeff Howe doing a great job. Blake Monroe as well. Bobby Burton, of course, the man, the myth, the legend. We talk about a lot of things here on the YouTube platform. It's probably about, 20% of the actual stuff that these guys are gathering, either on the road, looking at recruits, behind the scenes, and insider knowledge and insider details. All that stuff is at ontexasfootball.com. We don't honestly, these shows and live streams aren't long enough for us to cover everything. All right. So if you really want the inside scoop, ontexasfootball.com is where you need to be. And you can get a year subscription for just $39.95. Use that code OTFOG and become just that, an OTFOG. All right, let's thank our final sponsor of the evening as well before we move on here. Let's thank our friends over at South Point Dodge. Right now is a great time for you to head on over to our friends over at South Point Dodge. You can score an easy extra point this season when you get to the point with our friends over at South Point Dodge. They have over 600 vehicles in stock right now, including the all-new 2025 Ram 1500. Get the real deal today and drive away in an all-new Ram proven to last. Plus, you get employee incentive pricing. Don't forget about that. You won't get a better deal than that. Employee incentive pricing right now at South Point Dodge. That means you pay what the employees pay. Is their really fancy way of saying you get the employee discount right now at South Point Dodge. That's the real deal at South Point Dodge. You can go see them in person for yourself off of I-35 in South Austin, or you can go online and go to southpointdodge.com. Make it easy on yourself and go check out their fantastic inventory there as well. And don't forget about the employee incentive pricing, which means you just get the employee discount at southpointdodge.com, and go check out that 2025 Ram 1500, the all new 2025 Ram 1500. It is a head turner, one of the great vehicles among these 600 they have right now in stock over at southpointdodge.com. Miracle Martinez says, Rod, even band members got perks. You damn right. Damn right, band members. Listen, band members party. So I'm sure they want band members at the club in their spot. Ain't no doubt about that. So Miracle Martinez, appreciate the band members. Ain't no doubt about that. Yep. Show band of the Southwest. Is that the nickname of it, I believe, for the bands? Anyway, but I appreciate you guys. Hey, can I, if you actually are a band member, why don't they change the uniforms to something more modern? Can I ask that about the band? I've always wondered that. And they seem like the uniforms are antiquated.
Hot.
And hot, yes. That's one of the questions I have for band. I mean, we got band folks over there, I'm sure we do. Tell me how long it's been since they've changed the uniforms.
You don't have to go full Stanford band, right? I don't know if you've seen those, Rob.
No, I haven't.
they look like they walked into a thrift store and everybody just grabbed one different item and said, all right, that's what we're rocking. So they don't got to do that, but I'm with you. It looks hot. It looks hot.
It looks like they're, especially in Texas, man. I feel bad for them sometimes, those afternoon kickoffs. All right, yeah.
That's the Stanford band.
Oh yeah, they known for being quirky and weird. That's kind of their thing.
Thank you, Matthew.
That's their niche right there, I believe it is.
That looks like the UCLA panty run.
What you know about panty runs, CJ?
All
right, don't get coach started. See, that's why we're at the end of our program. Perfect. All right. Before we end it, can we review the big news of the day before we get out of here? The Longhorns with another commitment in the 2026 class. Corey Wells, defensive tackle out of Mississippi. It's been a while since Texas got a player out of Mississippi. He must be a good one, CJ.
Yeah. I'm a fan of this take. Corey Wells, 6'5", 300 pounds, commits to Texas over Auburn and Ole Miss. Told OTF on Sunday that he was expected to go to Mississippi State on June 20th. Said, you know what, I think I saw enough in my recruitment and decided Monday afternoon to shut things down. So Corey Wells becomes the 12th commitment in the class, the second defensive lineman joining Dylan Berryman out of Ouachita Parish in Monroe, Louisiana, who also committed over the weekend. So two defensive line commits in the span of about 48 hours. Wells, again, 6'5", 300 right now. Big body, plays over the nose, can play that 3 tech as well. A big versatile body. I think Alfred Collins isn't too far of a ceiling away. Maybe not as athletic, perhaps, because look, Collins was a 5-star kid, 2nd-round pick. But I think that body similarly projects to what he could be in this Texas defense.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Actually, kind of, they got a guy that can basically projects as a nose, and the guy right now that projects as a 3 technique for, or a guy that can play, multiple shades. But I think predominantly
Dylan Berryman, Keandre Coburn was a comp that I heard, and I was like, you know what, I kind of like that. What, 6'1", 6'2", 330 pounds. Oh, yep. Good motor. I don't hate that.
Yeah. No, it does a certain build, as Coach knows, for a guy that can play nose. And it ain't always the ideal, but there's a certain build for it. And I definitely, Berryman's got that. All right. Thank you guys for all the super chats, any participation, all the questions. We really appreciate you guys joining us today. Congratulations to the latest commitment for the Longhorns, Corey Wells, in that 2026 class. If anything breaks, which it could at any time, we got you covered here at ON Texas Football. Check out the YouTube platform, but ideally go over to ontexasfootball.com. Remember, if you're a first-time subscriber, you can get a deal. Use that OTFOG code. You get $39.95 for a year subscription at ontexasfootball.com. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes. He's a real MVP. Nobody does it better. CJ, great job today, man. Appreciate all of your expertise and knowledge in recruiting. Coach, always appreciate your wisdom and your levity that you bring to the show. Thank you, guys. Thank you to Stevie Lee as well. Stevie Lee joined us, courtesy of our good friends at Hard Grove Roofing. Really appreciate them. Speaking of our sponsors, thank you to South Point Dodge, southpointdodge.com. Thank you to Vaughn Lane, vaughnlane.com. Remember to use that code OTF25. You'll get $20 off your first ride with Vaughn Lane. And thank you to our friends over at Flat Creek Estate Winery, flatcreekestate.com. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow. You got Coffee and Football starting bright and early at 8:15 with Bobby and Jerry. So if we missed any of your questions and comments, direct them to the gentleman in the morning. Of course, they'll be talking about the latest commitment for the Longhorns in that 2026 class, Corey Wells. And also tomorrow we'll have a live stream at night, 7:15. Myself, Jeff Howe, and Aaron Hogan, I believe, are on that live stream tomorrow night. So can't wait you guys join us for Coach and for CJ and for Matthew. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.